Right now, there's a conversation running in your head, on repeat. You don't even notice it anymore. It's become the background noise of your existence. But I tell you, this internal dialogue is creating 90% of your reality, and it's working against you. Listen carefully. In the next few moments, I'm going to help you catch this invisible conversation. I'm going to show you how to hear what you've been saying to yourself in the silence between thoughts. And this is where everything changes. I'm going to teach you how to replace it with the conversation of your wish fulfilled. Most people live their entire lives never questioning the voice in their head. They assume it's just who they are. They think these repetitive thoughts, these inner arguments, these constant narratives about limitation and lack, they think this is simply reality commenting on itself. But I'm here to tell you something that will shake the very foundation of how you see your life. That inner conversation isn't describing your reality. It's creating it. You see, consciousness is the only reality. Everything you experience in the outer world, every circumstance, every relationship, every limitation you face, is nothing more than your inner conversations made visible. The world you see is not happening to you. It's happening from you. It is you pushed out into three-dimensional form. And the mechanism, it's this constant internal dialogue. These words you speak to yourself when no one is listening. These are the true seeds of your experience. Let me show you what I mean. Close your eyes for just a moment and listen. What's the conversation that runs automatically? When you think about your finances, what do you hear yourself saying? I never have enough. Money is tight. I can't afford that. When you think about relationships, nobody understands me. I always end up alone. People always disappoint me. Your health, your career, your worthiness, these aren't casual thoughts. These are assumptions hardened into fact by repetition. And here's what you must understand. Your subconscious mind doesn't judge these statements as true or false. It simply accepts them as instructions and proceeds to construct a reality that matches them perfectly. I have watched people destroy their lives with nothing but the conversation in their head. Brilliant, capable people who could have anything, be anything, trapped in poverty, loneliness, sickness, not because the world is against them, but because they have become addicted to a narrative of limitation. But here's the revelation that changes everything. If your inner conversation created this reality, then changing that conversation changes your reality. Not eventually. Not if you're lucky. Immediately, the moment you assume a new internal dialogue and persist in it, you have planted a seed that must bear fruit in your world. I want you to understand exactly how this works, because most people are unconscious of the power they're wielding. Your inner conversation operates on 3 levels, and each one is constructing your experience. First, there's the surface chatter, the obvious thoughts you're aware of thinking. I need to pay this bill. I wonder what they think of me. I hope this works out. This is the level most people try to change with affirmations and positive thinking. But this is not the level that creates. Second, beneath that, there's the assumption layer, the beliefs you don't question because they feel like facts. I'm not the kind of person who gets opportunities like that. Good things don't happen to people like me. I have to struggle to succeed. These are the invisible bars of your prison. You don't see them as beliefs, you experience them as reality itself. And third, deepest of all, there's your I am, your fundamental sense of self. I am unworthy. I am unlucky. I am broken. Or if you've awakened to your power, I am successful. I am loved. I am free. This is the foundation upon which everything else is built. The Bible tells us, in the beginning was the Word. Do you understand what this means? It means that before anything manifests in form, it exists as a word, as an inner conversation, an assumption, a statement of being. Your word is the creative power. And whatever you speak in the secrecy of your consciousness must come forth into visibility. I am these two words are the name of God. When you say, I am tired, I am broke, I am alone, you are using the creative power of the universe to design a reality of tiredness, poverty, and isolation. You are God, declaring what shall be. Now let me show you how the loop forms and why it's so difficult to break. This is crucial to understand. You have an inner conversation. I never have enough money. This conversation generates a feeling, anxiety, lack, unworthiness. That feeling becomes a state, a habitual emotional posture you carry throughout your day. And from that state, you perceive your world through the filter of lack. You notice every bill, every expense, every closed door. You don't see opportunities because your state isn't tuned to them. And what happens? Your external world reflects this inner state back to you. You experience more lack. And what does that experience do? It confirms your original inner conversation. See, I told you I never have enough money. The loop tightens. This is why trying to change your circumstances without changing your inner conversation is futile. You're trying to rearrange the reflection in the mirror without changing what's standing in front of it. The world cannot give you what you refuse to claim in consciousness first. I've seen people run this loop for decades. The conversation of, I'm not good enough, creates experiences of rejection, which confirm, I'm not good enough, which creates more rejection, which strengthens the conversation. Around and around, year after year, until they genuinely believe this is just how life is. But it's not how life is. It's how their consciousness is. So how do you break this cycle? How do you interrupt a conversation that's been running on autopilot for years, perhaps decades? First, you must become aware of it. You cannot change what you don't acknowledge. For the next 3 days, I want you to become a witness to your inner dialogue. Don't judge it. Don't try to change it yet. Just observe. When you think about money, what do you hear? When you think about love, what's the narrative? When you imagine your future, what conversation arises? Write it down. Make it visible. Because what's invisible controls you. What you can see, you can change. Second, you must understand this. You are not these thoughts. You are the awareness in which these thoughts appear. The conversation may have been running for years, but it is not who you are. It's simply a habit of consciousness, and any habit can be replaced. You see, imagination is the true you, the immortal you, the God in you. These limiting conversations are costumes you've worn, characters you've played, but they are not your essence. Your essence is pure creative power, unlimited consciousness, the I am, before any limitation was added to it. When you realize this, truly realize it, you discover that you can choose any conversation you wish. You can assume any identity. You can speak any word into the silence of your being, and that word will become flesh. Now comes the transformation. Having identified your limiting inner conversation, you're going to replace it with the conversation of your wish fulfilled. Not as something you hope to experience, not as something you're trying to attract, but as something that is already true in consciousness. Let me be very specific about this, because this is where most people fail. They try to cover their conversation of lack with a thin layer of positive thinking. They say affirmations while their real inner dialogue contradicts every word. That's not what I'm teaching you. I'm teaching you to assume an entirely new conversation, one that springs from the state of already having, already being, already possessing what you desire. This is living from the end. If your desire is financial freedom, Your inner conversation cannot be, "I'm going to be wealthy," or "I hope money comes." Those statements come from lack. Your conversation must be the conversation of someone who is already free. "I love how abundant my life is. Money flows to me so easily. I'm grateful for this financial peace." Do you feel the difference? One is reaching for something outside yourself. The other is claiming something that already exists within you. And here's what most people don't understand. You don't have to believe this new conversation at first. You just have to persist in it. Your job is not to make yourself believe. Your job is to assume the conversation of your wish fulfilled and remain faithful to it, regardless of what your senses tell you. This is the secret assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. Your inner conversation, repeated consistently, impresses itself upon your subconscious mind. And your subconscious, which controls 95% of your behavior, your perception, and your creative power, accepts this new conversation as true and begins to reorganize your entire reality to match it. Tonight I'm going to give you a specific practice. This is not theory. This is a technique you can use immediately to begin transforming your reality. Before you go to sleep, and this is crucial because the state akin to sleep is when your conscious mind relaxes its grip and your subconscious becomes most receptive, you're going to engage in what I call inner conversation revision. Here's how it works. Replay your day in your mind, but pay attention to the inner conversations you had. Maybe you had a conversation of worry about a meeting. Maybe you had a conversation of resentment towards someone. Maybe you had a conversation of lack when looking at your bank account. Don't judge these conversations. Simply identify them. Now here's the transformative part. Replay those same moments, but give yourself a different inner conversation, the conversation that would have occurred if your wish were already fulfilled. Instead of, "I hope this meeting goes well," replay it with, "I'm so grateful this meeting went perfectly." Instead of, "I can't believe they treated me that way," replay it with, "I'm amazed at how respectful and kind everyone is to me." Instead of, "I don't have enough," replay it with, "I'm so thankful for my abundance." Do you see what you're doing? You're not changing what happened externally. You're changing the inner conversation about what happened. And in doing so, you're changing the meaning, the emotional impact, and most importantly, the assumption that will create tomorrow. This is the practice of revision that I have taught for years. You are going back into your imagination, which is the only place anything ever really happens, and you are rewriting the script. You are assuming a new conversation about your life, and I tell you, if you do this faithfully every night for just 2 weeks, you will be astounded at how your external world begins to shift. People will change. Circumstances will rearrange themselves. Opportunities will appear. Not because you forced anything in the outer world, but because you changed the inner conversation from which your world springs. Now I must prepare you for what will happen when you begin this practice. Your old conversation will not go quietly. It's a habit, remember. And habits fight back when you try to replace them. You'll have moments where you catch yourself slipping back into the old dialogue. You'll have days when circumstances seem to confirm your old story. Your senses will scream at you that nothing has changed. This is where most people give up. They assume the technique doesn't work, but I tell you, the technique is not failing. You are simply in the interval between the assumption and its manifestation. The seed has been planted, but it hasn't yet broken through the soil. This is when you must persist. Persistence doesn't mean forcing. It doesn't mean straining. It simply means returning again and again to the conversation of your wish fulfilled. Every time you catch the old dialogue starting, you gently redirect to the new one. Every night you revise. Every morning you assume. Think of it like tuning a radio. Right now, you're tuned to the frequency of lack, limitation, and unworthiness, and you're receiving all the broadcasts on that channel. As you persist in your new inner conversation, you're slowly turning the dial to a different frequency, the frequency of abundance, freedom, and fulfillment. At first you'll get static. You'll hear both stations at once. But if you keep turning, if you keep adjusting, eventually, the new frequency will come in clear, and you'll wonder how you ever listened to the old one. As your new inner conversation becomes habitual, something remarkable happens. You stop doing the technique. You become the technique. The conversation of your wish fulfilled becomes your natural dialogue. You catch yourself thinking from abundance instead of toward it. You notice yourself speaking with confidence instead of hoping for it. This is when you know the assumption has hardened into fact in consciousness. And shortly after, sometimes immediately, sometimes through a series of events, I call the bridge of incidents, it manifests in your three-dimensional world. But here's what you must understand. The manifestation in the outer world is not the goal. The transformation of your inner conversation is the goal. Because once you've mastered this, once you understand that you can choose your inner dialogue and thereby choose your reality, you become truly free. You're no longer a victim of circumstances. You're no longer waiting for the world to give you permission to feel successful, loved, or abundant. You're no longer trapped in the loop of negative inner conversation, creating negative experiences. You become the conscious creator of your life. Scripture tells us, the kingdom of heaven is within you. Do you understand this now? The kingdom, the realm of all possibilities, the source of every good thing you could ever desire. It's not somewhere out there. It's not in the future. It's within you right now, in the form of your inner conversation. When you change your inner conversation, you change which aspect of the kingdom you're experiencing. You're not creating something from nothing. You're selecting from infinite possibilities by virtue of what you assume in consciousness. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. The mouth of God is your consciousness. The word that proceeds from it is your inner conversation. You are living by these words right now. The question is, what words are you speaking? So here is what I'm asking you to do starting tonight. 1. Become aware of your inner conversation. Witness it without judgment. Write down the recurring narratives about money, love, health, success, worthiness. 2. Identify your wish fulfilled. What would you be experiencing if your desire were already realized? What would you be saying to yourself in that state? 3. Practice inner conversation revision every night before sleep. Replay your day, identify the limiting conversations, and replace them with the conversations of your wish fulfilled. 4. Persist. When you catch yourself in the old dialogue during the day, gently redirect to the new one. Don't force. Don't fight. Simply choose again. I promise you this, if you do this faithfully for 30 days, your life will begin to transform in ways that will astonish you. Not because I have special power, not because this is magic, but because this is law. Consciousness is the only reality, and consciousness manifests as inner conversation made visible. The conversation in your head right now is creating your tomorrow. The question is, are you going to let it run on autopilot, repeating the patterns of limitation and lack? Or are you going to seize the creative power that is your birthright and consciously choose the conversation of your wish fulfilled? Deep down, you've always known this, haven't you? You've always sensed that there was something more to reality than what meets the eye. You've always felt that you had power. You weren't accessing potential. You weren't using. That knowing was correct. You are not a powerless being in a random universe. You are consciousness itself, temporarily focused in human form, creating your experience through the power of your own assumptions and inner conversations. The conversation that's been running in your head was not chosen consciously. It was inherited, absorbed, conditioned into you. But now you know. Now you see the mechanism. Now you understand the power you wield. And with this understanding comes responsibility. You can no longer pretend you're a victim. You can no longer blame circumstances, other people, or bad luck. Because you now know the conversation in your head is creating 90% of what you experience. But this isn't a burden. It's liberation. It means you are free. Free to assume any conversation you choose. Free to be anyone you wish to be. Free to create any reality you can imagine. So I ask you now, what conversation will you choose? What will you speak in the silence of your consciousness? What assumptions will you make about your life, your worth, your possibilities? Because I tell you with absolute certainty, whatever you assume and persist in assuming, you will experience. This is not hope. This is not belief. This is law. The inner conversation loop that's been destroying your life can be transformed right now into the inner conversation loop that creates the life you've always desired. The power is yours. It has always been yours. You are the operant power. You are the creator. Now go and create consciously. Comment below what you're manifesting and let me know, what inner conversation are you committed to changing? I want to hear from you. And if this teaching resonated with you, if you felt the truth of it, subscribe to this channel. Because I'm going to continue revealing these principles, these laws of consciousness that will set you free. Remember, consciousness is the only reality. Your inner conversation is the blueprint. Change the conversation, and you change your world. You are so much more powerful than you know.